So we're going to solve this equation, and we're going to do it two different ways to show you that you can do it two different ways. So the first way that you can do it is just by isolating the x, trying to get the x by itself. So how do I get x by itself? Well, I have to get rid of 3/4 and I have to get rid of 1. And the first thing I get rid of is the thing that's farther from it, so it's the 1. So I subtract 1 from both sides. When I do that, I'll get 3/4 x equals -8. And now the next step would be, I'm going to do it the quickest way, dividing by 3/4. Dividing by 3/4. Now, how do you divide by 3/4? Do you remember the rule for dividing by a fraction? Dividing by a fraction is the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Do you remember that? So dividing by 3/4 is really the same as just multiplying by 4/3. So really, let's think of it like that. I prefer to think of it like that anyway. So I wouldn't even have divided by 3/4 because that confuses people. I would have just multiplied by 4/3, and you can see what happens here. The 4's cancel, and so do the 3's. Right? So it's gone. So this is x equals -32 over 3. Remember, that's over 1. And there's your answer. It doesn't reduce, so you can leave it like that, or if they want it as a decimal, you could punch into your calculator, but I would prefer not to use your calculator myself. So that's the first way you can do it. The other way you can do it is by what's called clearing the fraction. This is a good trick to know. So before I do anything else, if I wanted to, I could just take this entire equation and multiply it by the least common denominator, which in this case is 4. Multiply everything by 4. And don't forget, you have to multiply everything in the equation, every term in the equation. So this would become 12 over 4x. This would become 4, and this would become -28. What's 12 over 4? 3. That's why it's called clearing the fraction, because doing that little trick will get rid of all your fractions. And now that's a lot easier to deal with, isn't it? Now I'm just subtracting 4 from both sides. When I subtract 4 from both sides, I'll get -32 equals 3x. 3x equals -32. And now divide both sides by 3. Dividing both sides by 3, we'll get x by itself. That's gone. X equals -32 over 3. Either way, you get to the same answer. Whichever way you prefer to do is fine. It's good to be versatile and to be able to do it both ways, but there's two different ways to do that solving problem. And then, as always, check your answer by plugging this back into that equation, -32 over 3, and make sure that that side does in fact equal -7. And if you have the store button on your calculator, that's what I would use. So you plug in -32 over 3, store x, like that, and then just type this right into your calculator, 3/4 x plus 1. Type it in carefully. Maybe use parentheses around 3/4 just to be safe. And then you should get 7 as your answer, and you'll know you did it right.